In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to start and scale to $10,000 a month using the skill set of remote triaging and online sales in 2024. My name is Kekoa MacAuley, and if you're new to my channel, learning the skill set of remote triaging and online sales helped me go from broke at age 19 to selling over $5.3 million online by the age of 24 and traveling to 25 different countries while I was actually earning income, able to work remotely on my own terms whenever I wanted. Remote triaging has not only changed my life, but it's also changed my student's life. Andrea, who was able to take his wife on a dream honeymoon, was able to bring in over $400,000 in net commissions in just a short 14 months and ultimately leave his 9-to-5 job and pursue a life of real financial freedom. Or like Jake Elston here, who after mastering the skill was able to 3x his income at his old engineering job, quit that, and now routinely close deals working completely remote. Or Sophia here, who was able to quit her 9-to-5 job and now routinely make over $400 per day just taking a few phone calls, working remotely anywhere in the world. And even Colin here, who got to making $950 every single day using the skill set of remote triaging and online sales. He's now traveling the world around Europe and to other countries, living life on his terms. This skill set not only helped these 3 students gain financial freedom, but it's also helping another 839 plus students inside my modern SDR community to ultimately leave their 9-to-5 jobs and create a life of real freedom where they're able to spend time with their friends, with their family, and ultimately get paid for their value and not their time. Now, this free course has the power to completely change your life, so make sure to buckle up and get ready because there's a lot for you to learn. This is going to be a pretty decent sized training with live sales call examples, our proven scripts and frameworks, and tons more of income producing material. So make sure you take notes, block out all distractions and social media, and get ready to learn. Before I do get into this, if you do find this training valuable and you want to learn a little bit more about what it looks like to work with our coaches privately here at the Modern SDR, learn from over 130 plus hours of live sales training content, role plays, coaching calls, mock calls, and actually drilling with other students, then feel free to click the link in the description down below. That's going to take you to a free 40-minute case study video that's going to walk you through exactly how you can get started working with us. There's going to be an option to book in a call, and you'll be able to see all of the results from our successful students so you can see how you can actually start making income and hit your first $100,000 online within the year of 2024. This free course is made up of my learnings, successes, and failures over the past 10 years, so I do hope you find it valuable. If you do, make sure to share with a friend, leave a like, leave a comment, and if you have any questions at all, me and my team will be answering those down in the comment sections below. So without further ado, let's dive in. Well, you might be wondering what even is remote triaging. So here is a high-level overview. Now, this business model is pretty simple. We are essentially partnering with business owners on social media that have attention online. They can be selling anything. Examples might be fitness products, travel masterminds, health coaching, beauty or makeup brands. Maybe it's making money online, investing, whether that's stocks, crypto, anything else. It might be in dating, parenting, fashion. There's so many different niches and examples of industries that you can actually be selling in. This might be tech, it might be coding, or even learning languages. You basically find an educational creator or business owner on YouTube, TikTok, or Instagram and partner up with them to help sell their digital products online. Now, the reason that we partner with a business owner is because you most likely don't already have an audience. If you did have an audience, you might not be watching this video. Now, what is the quintessential thing in order to actually have success with a business? Well, you have to know marketing and you have to know sales. There has to be a way to get eyeballs onto a product or service, or there has to be a way to actually sell and enroll these people into your business or actually sell them some sort of product. Because without sales, a company will go under. And without eyeballs, they will have nobody to actually sell with. So if you can find a business owner or creator that already has an audience online, you can ultimately help tap into their followers and leverage those followers to actually create income for yourself. Now, number 2, the reason why we partner with a business owner is you likely don't have experience to actually run a business yet. Business owners need to post content. They need to create websites. They need to fulfill customers, run ads, hire, train, and manage team members. and ultimately do a ton of other complicated things. So essentially, if you're able to use someone else's audiences, their followers, and their attention, you can make money from that instead. Now, when you're actually looking for an influencer or business owner, it's really important to find someone selling inexpensive product. Think $5,000 and up. Now, the reason for this is because the more expensive that product is, the more money you will make. Most businesses in this whole info product space operate on between a 20 to 50% profit margin from what I've seen. And, ultimately better businesses always charge high ticket. So because these business owners operate on, smaller profit margins, it is incredibly important that they're able to continually bring in sales. And that's ultimately where you come in as a remote triager. Now, I'm going to be hopping over to Instagram and YouTube and a few other social media platforms later so you can get a better example of who these business owners are. What are the best influencers to actually partner up with? Who are the best educational creators that you can actually work with and sell for in order to make money? But that's going to be later on in the video, so just make sure to stick around. Now, the great thing about selling these high ticket digital products is that on average, commission rates are between 10 to 15%. So on a $5,000 product, you are essentially making $500 to $750 for every single sale. And my personal favorite thing is that a sale might just take you 45 minutes on average, which from literally less than 1 hour of work, you could be bringing in over $500 just for taking one phone call. And once you make that sale, your job is done. Now, if you take a look at the screen here, you can see some examples from our students. We have Jason here, who was actually able to match his monthly salary at Amazon in just 1 week of work. He was able to bring in $1,600. We have Steve over here, who closed a $100,000 deal. He actually made 5% commission on that, so that's $5,000 take home for him. We also have Frederick here, who said that he made $3,250 in commissions in just 3 single days, which is absolutely crazy. As well as all of our other students that are now able to have more time with their family. They're able to leave their 9-to-5 jobs. They're able to just have more remote time, location, and financial freedom. So it's really cool to see all of the success there. Now, what is some of the money-making math? You might be wondering, okay, Kekoa, this is great. I know that I have to look for some sort of, online business owners, these digital products, but how can I actually start making money here? Well, it's really important to actually find someone selling an expensive product. Think of $5,000 and up, as we kind of mentioned before. Now, on average, from what I've seen, and this is, with our statistics with, other people that I've seen in this space, generally on average, 1% of an audience will actually buy the product or service that you're selling. So a business owner or an influencer on social media with 100 followers will likely have one buyer. So if you're selling a $5,000 product, you message 100 leads or you have conversations with 100 potential interested people, you will likely make about $500. So it's a really simple way to actually break it down of, hey, this person has 10,000, followers. Well, on average, I can probably get about 1% of those people to actually buy or purchase this product. So 1% of 10,000 people would be 100 potential buyers that would buy something from you. And if you're able to successfully take them from a cold prospect into someone who's interested and actually sees the value in that $5,000 product, that's going to be $500 for you for every single sale you help with, which is why in 2024 for a beginner, that's genuinely why I feel that remote triaging is by far the best business model. Now, I've also kind of broken this down here for you so you can start understanding why remote triaging is such a great business model. Now, anyone can do this as a complete beginner. Since the age of 19, I've actually used my skill set of sales and remote triaging and actually sold over $5.3 million online worth of digital products, ranging from anywhere between $1 all the way up to $27,000. And of course, now we're mainly focused on our, sales training company, remote triaging company, right? Modern SDR. And we're ultimately helping people just like yourself learn and really master this skill even more. But even before this, I was able to use my skill set of sales, my skill set of remote triaging to sell social media marketing services. agency services. I was able to, monetize my YouTube channel. I was able to monetize my Instagram account, all because that I learned this one skill set of sales and remote triaging. Now, another great reason why remote triaging is such an amazing business model is that you can actually start tapping into what I call the new value-based economy. And you never have to trade your time for dollars ever again. You might right now be working a 9-to-5 job where you go in, you work for 8 hours a day or whatever it may be, 40 hours a week, 160 hours every single month, and ultimately trading those 160 hours for whatever your hourly rate is. Maybe it's $10 an hour. So if you trade $160 for $10 an hour, then essentially you bring home $1,600 minus whatever it is after taxes. But if there's a way that you can actually start tapping into this, what I call the new value-based economy, where you aren't actually trading your 160 hours anymore, but you're trading the value that you're providing to businesses by actually helping sell these high-ticket digital products, you can trade, maybe it's 45 minutes to make $500. Maybe it's to make $1,000. And ultimately, it's not based on, how much time you're trading, but it's how much value are you providing. So that is just one other reason why remote triaging is such an amazing business model. Now, additionally, you can choose your own hours. You can do this from anywhere in the world. Some days I wake up at 11 a.m. Other days I wake up at 5 a.m. And it's all just because I'm able to choose my own schedule and ultimately where I work, if I want to travel, if I want to do this in Europe, Brazil, in the United States. And that's the beauty of this model, is that you can do this anywhere in the world as well. And ultimately, you are going straight to the money. You are so close to the money, and you don't have to deal with fulfillment. You don't have to deal with creating content or doing anything hard or complicated. You literally just get to take a few phone calls and make income. Now, you might be wondering, Kekoa, okay, this is great, but how do I actually pick a niche now? What type of business owners or coaches or niches should I work with? And that's why I actually put together this list here. Now, there's going to be a few different niches. And this here, right, this is Greg O'Gallagher. I've actually worked with him in the past. We actually used to run social media marketing services for him back in the day. But Greg, he actually has what he calls the Mojo Stack. So this is actually a supplement product. And then from my understanding, I'm not sure if they still offer this anymore, but at some point, right, they had a Kino Warrior program and they had a physique building program to help, men or women put on muscle and ultimately shred fat. So as a remote triager, you would essentially be helping Greg in enrolling prospects into his programs, people that are already interested in buying his products. So you're literally hopping on with calls with people that already want to buy Greg's products and services. And because you're helping him out, because you're helping enroll these people, you get to make money as well. And this is why I call this almost a straight to the money loophole, because you're able to go straight to the money and help influencers and business owners just like Greg, right, to make money for him, but ultimately to make money for you as well. If you're helping these businesses, you should get your piece of the pie as well. So here's another guy. I've actually met up with him. We actually went on a nice flight out to Dubai. I think it was even last year we actually did that. But Eli's awesome. He actually helps entrepreneurs who want bucket list adventures and first class travel on points. So he actually helps business owners use their points in a more effective manner to get amazing first class flights and things like that. So Eli actually has a coaching program. I think it ranges from $5,000 to $10,000, but he's ultimately helping entrepreneurs use their points in a more effective manner. So you can see that the niches are almost endless of the types of things and coaching programs that you can even help with. So hopefully you can start gaining some context and clarity on this as well. Now, what about health coaching? Maybe you're, interested in holistic wellness. Maybe you're interested in, helping fitness coaches or, health coaches. Well, Lynette Hoyle here is a great example of a woman who helps other women, most likely, actually, become fitness coaches online. You can kind of see what her page looks like. She has pretty good engagement and ultimately is helping people land new clients. So if you reach out to her and you're able to say, hey, Lynette, I saw your post, you were helping out other health and fitness coaches. I really resonated with your brand and your vision. I ultimately want to come on for you as a remote triager or an online salesperson and ultimately help you close more deals. Business owners like Lynette are going to be very inclined to actually want you on board, because if you can help them make money, they're going to want to pay you your piece of the pie, and you get to capitalize and leverage their audience without having to build anything yourself or do anything hard or complicated. So that's the beauty of this here. Now, what about other things? We have Airbnb coaches. This guy is Saeed Latif. I think I found this guy when I was scrolling the other day, kind of prepping for this video, but you can see that he helps people learn Airbnb. So that's another example of a coach. We also have beauty, brands over here. We have this is more of a theme page, I think, but this is a beauty brand. If they have a $5,000 or $10,000 course, maybe it's even a lower ticket program, something that's $400 or $1,000. You can still help them to make income online as well. And then of course we have, making money online. We have a few other, investing niches. We have dating niches. We have parenting niches. But ultimately, hopefully you can start to see there's so many different niches that you can tap into. And if you find something that has alignment with you and what you stand for and, how you want to impact other people, this is going to provide so much value and ultimately allow you to hit your income goals of making that extra $5,000 a month, $10,000 a month, or even $20,000 a month or more. Now, once again, if you want to learn this a little bit more in depth, feel free to book in a time with one of our coaches here in the Modern SDR, because we can walk you through exactly how to find, the right businesses. How can you make sure that there's an on-track earnings of $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 a month? And ultimately how you can truly master this skill of remote triaging and online sales so you can hit that goal of making over $100,000 a year as soon as possible. Now, when you're picking a niche, it is really important that there's these 4 requirements, because this is going to help make sure that there's actually even room for you to grow and make money in this business. So you want to make sure that there's, at least 10,000 followers. They have a $5,000 plus offer. They have some sort of proven student results or testimonials where there's no chargebacks. You want to make sure that they're actually helping people, that they have results. And ultimately, my personal suggestion is make sure they're cash collecting at least $20,000 a month. And as long as the business has these 4 requirements, you should be able to hit your income goals pretty quickly. Now, you might be wondering, Kekoa, why do I need to make sure they're making at least $20,000 a month? Well, if you have 10% commission and they only have $20,000 a month coming in, well, 10% commission would be about $2,000 for you. So you want to make sure they're already kind of doing $20,000 a month, so that if you come in, you can help get them to $50,000 or $100,000 a month. Because if you're making 10% commission, that's $5,000 to $10,000 in your pocket. Now, another way to also obviously get more money is also negotiating your commission rate higher. So if you want a 15% commission and you can actually help them a little bit more, well, that's maybe something you can come in and actually negotiate for, so you can actually start making more money as well, right? It kind of just depends on the economics of that business. So that's the niche. Now, next up is, how do you find your first business owner? Where does your ideal business owner get traffic? What's the best place to reach them? Well, examples might be over on Instagram, kind of as I shared. It might be on Twitter. It might be on TikTok, YouTube. It might be even through email. Maybe you're on an email list now for a make money online offer or a nutrition plan or health coaching programs. Well, they might even actually reach out and say, hey, we're looking to hire salespeople. So if you see that application page come through, that's where you can ultimately apply and start actually working with these businesses. Now, another really good thing that I like using is either free Facebook communities or actually school communities. Our team is actually recruiting heavily now through Twitter, Facebook, but then even LinkedIn, and then also School. So School is a brand new application, and I'll actually pull this up and see if we can head on over to Scaling School. But let's head on over to School, and you can kind of see what this looks like. So I might even head in here, and it looks like, so even on School, if you go to school.com, you can head on. I'll have a link in the description as well. So I'll have my referral link down to School in the description down below. So you guys can definitely go check that out, set up an account, and you can even start reaching out to people. But for example, I might have, Eric Howell. Eric Howell says, he has free podcasts, or he helps people launch podcasts. He's also then asked a question, hey, how many offers do you have? Well, then I can start looking through, okay, there's this girl, the Mind Supply, currently growing Mind Supply. She has a group here. So I might be able to go on and, touch base with her group. Like, what does her group look like? So ultimately, I could even join this group, and then, I can actually come in and see like the types of people in here. Do I want to work with for her? How can I actually help her monetize her group more? However I can find ways to provide value, that's ultimately how I'm going to make the most money if I'm actually selling for someone else, kind of in this online community. So that's a great way to actually go through. Once again, I'll have a full link to my to school down below, and you guys can actually go register to create an account and actually start looking for remote triaging and online sales gigs. Now, of course, too, there's paid communities, and inside of our Modern SDR 3.0 community, we of course help guarantee opportunities for all of our students. All of our students that come through, they graduate, they put in the work, they're showing up to the coaching calls, we guarantee them opportunities that we're actually introducing them personally, and we actually have a big what we call our business pipeline, where we send in the best offers. And these are companies that are doing between, $20,000 a month all the way up to $1.5 million every single month that need talented salespeople all the time. So ultimately, paid communities is where I personally have always found the best opportunities, and you have the best networking capabilities. But of course that, comes with time. You want to find, a mentor that you trust. You want to find communities that you actually believe in. Now, lastly, in order to find a good influencer, you can also use this website called findcreators.io and Influencity. I haven't actually used these fully in depth, but I know creators.io is actually really solid, and you can do some great work. You can actually search, fitness coach. You can see where they're at. So I could even do, fitness coach, make sure they have at least 20,000 followers. So even here, I can look, and I found a bunch of influencers right here. Maybe I want to do sales coach. Let's see what pops up. So we got this girl Brooke, we got this guy Jesus. So there's a lot of different other things. Maybe we even have, what do we got? Micro influencers. We got some of these other people as well. So maybe we can even search Airbnb coach. So Airbnb coach, that would be here. I can come in, Jordan Wing. I haven't heard of this guy before, but ultimately you can start to see what this looks like. You can start tapping in, finding other influencers. And if I want to reach out to him, I just can head on over to his Instagram page. It's literally that easy to find these influencers. This is the sauce. Now, another website that I've kind of started exploring, I honestly think Find Creators is better here. But you could also come in here and actually look for influencers as well. I think you might have to start a trial here to even actually start searching. So that is another site, but honestly, findcreators.io is great. And I'll make sure to have a link in the description as well. That'll just be another referral link. And then you guys can actually check out findcreators.io, because that's going to be super helpful in, landing your first remote triaging and online sales gigs. Really the next step from here, right? You want to create a list of 50 business owners that you want to work with. And then ultimately we're going to use a outreach script and actually message these 50 business owners. And literally what I'll do, I'll take my phone and I'll literally record a video of myself actually talking to this influencer. So here's kind of what this script would look like. So I'll be like, hey Name, loved your post and content talking about XYZ offer. Let's say it's that Airbnb offer. So once again, if I head on over and, let's say I'm messaging Jordan. So I'll be like, yo, Jordan, what's up? It's just Kekoa here. I saw you were an Airbnb coach that was, ultimately helping people land and build their, first Airbnbs and also fix their credit. I saw you guys were killing it over on Instagram, and I wanted to actually reach out to see if you needed any, salespeople or remote triagers to come on your team and ultimately help enroll more students. Is this worth the conversation? Literally, I would just send him that video, and you should get the response rates on that should be awesome, because nobody sends videos these days. It's all copy paste scripts. So literally just make it personable, right? Relate to him, kind of talk in his language. You can kind of see even some posts. Hey, I saw you were out in Miami. That's epic, dude. You can just talk to them about where they've been, build relationships. Everything with sales is building relationships. So that's ultimately what you can do. And I've put a few other video scripts in there, so you guys can kind of read along there. But ultimately, that's how you start getting results like Ismahan here. She said that she joined the Modern SDR after seeing, my page over on Instagram. And she said that she wanted to just change her life situation and find a way to do it. She wanted to give a big thanks to, myself for starting the program, but also a big shout out to all the coaches. We have Ryan, we have Alex, we have Patrick, all showing up every single week to teach her and our 839 plus students this amazing skill. Another thanks to Maria, who has been a true support for her. And even though she says you have to put in the work and stay consistent, if you have the coaches, you can have success. Now, we also have Colin here who was actually making, pretty good money, still $200 a day, in line from Chipotle. You guys might have seen, one of his past interviews with me, but he literally just started to have upwards of $1,000 days. And ultimately, he just wanted to share this because he's been winning and he wanted to share it with you guys as well. So now, just to kind of recap here, you guys know now exactly how to find niche. What is the money math behind making, your first $5,000 a month, $10,000 a month, even $20,000 a month? And you might be wondering, what is next? Kekoa, where do I go from here? Well, now I'm actually going to be breaking down these 3 different roles in this whole online education space and how you guys can actually start making your first $3,000 to $5,000 a month and then scale that to over $10,000, even $20,000 a month, just mastering this one straight to the money skill and just start tapping into and really leveraging other people's businesses online to make income for yourself. So I'm going to head on over back into the computer here. So there's 3 roles inside of a business. Number 1 is going to be our DM setter or our DM closer. Then we also have our remote triager or our phone setter. And then we have our closer, which actually enrolls prospects on longer 45-minute to 60-minute phone calls. So breaking down role number 1, we have DM setter and DM closer. Now, a lot of this is going to depend on the business. For DM closing, you might be helping sell a $500 to $2,000 product directly through the DMs. This is going to generally have a commission structure of 10 to 20%. You're most likely going to be closing deals directly to a checkout page within the DMs on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter. Now, what's great, let's say you're selling a $2,000 product, if you're selling that for 20% commission, on average, you're making $400 for every single sale that is paid in full. So $400 literally just for sending a few messages, I would say is pretty great. Now, there's also DM setting. So this is selling maybe a $3,000 to more of a higher ticket product, maybe something even $10,000 or more. Now, the commission structure for this will range between 3 to 10%, i.e., on average, you're making about $250 to $300 to about $1,000 for every closed deals. Here, you're generally setting triage calls or demo calls directly to another sales rep. And that's something I'm going to dive into a little bit later, right? Generally, those triage calls are shorter 15-minute discovery calls where we're understanding a little bit more about the prospect, where they're coming from, the current situation they're in, and ultimately what they want to achieve, learning something like whatever program you are selling and enrolling prospects into. Now, the perks of this role is that you don't have to show your face. As someone that was an introvert myself, I actually had a stutter when I was growing up, and it was tough to communicate with people. So for me, from literally the ages of 12 all the way to like 20 or 21 years old, I would have found DM setting to be awesome because I wouldn't have to directly, interact with people over the phone. I could actually start learning the skill set of sales. And even though I was more introverted, even though I had a stutter, I could still make money. And we've had students come in and they're making between $5,000 to $10,000 a month. That's even what our student Andrea initially started out with. And he made $9,000 in just 30 days with the skill set of DM setting. So you can just see the power of it and how much income you can actually make if you decide to actually set your mind to this and really start, taking it full stride. So generally, when you're hopping into a role, you also want to make sure there's enough lead flow. So when looking for a business owner, you want to ensure that there are at least 30 to 40 inbound comments, which you can publicly see on their social media platforms. Additionally, you will most likely want to make sure that the influencer you are working with is gaining at least 100 to 200 followers per day over on whatever social media platform they're actually working on. Now, this is more specifically to Instagram, as most of our B2B clients, our business to business clients, they're actually through Instagram, and that's generally how they're growing. So if you can actually make sure that they're just growing by at least 100 to 200 followers every single day on Instagram or other social media platforms, this is also going to ensure that there's a consistent new lead flow of prospects who would be interested in working with you and that business owner. Now, in order to actually really start understanding sales better, you really have to start understanding what the customer journey is. What does someone actually go through in order to understand a little bit more about how this industry works? Well, when someone actually goes through, even like a general sales process, what are they most likely going to see? Well, any prospect will generally see some sort of website, maybe a calendar booking, or they might even opt in over on Instagram. So I'm actually going to go over to Instagram and we'll use this guy, KT Hustles, as I've been seeing him pop up on quite a few pages. Now, for all of these influencers, they're going to have either some sort of, call to action. So if you DM him, this is actually where a DM setter would come in. So I believe KT has anywhere between like a $5,000 to $10,000 digital program. So if you come in, you're actually working with him. Let's say a prospect DMs this account, the word learn. Well, if they DM that account, then ultimately a DM setter will come in and actually start having that conversation to book that person into a phone call. It's also similar with our page. So we have people DM us, the word start, and then I actually have a team of DM setters that are actually talking to people in the DMs. So sometimes I'm actually talking to people, but there's no way I can get back to all 819,000 people that follow us. So there has to be a way for us to actually talk to enough people and ultimately help them. You also might see that people are, commenting on my page. So all of these people are interested in becoming a remote triager. They want to figure out how all of our students, all of our 839 plus students are making income. We might have other posts where we have, hey, comment the word ready. So then all of these people will reach out, and then ultimately our DM setters help nurture that conversation and make sure that this is even a good solution or a good potential fit for this prospect so that they can start working with us and we can start making money and helping them, achieve the goals that they want. So that's generally what the customer journey looks like. There's going to be, either an Instagram page that they see, or maybe they book on a website. And generally, let's say they go through Instagram, because we're talking about more about like the DM setter. Well, the DM setter is going to have a conversation with them. They're going to have some qualifying questions. Hey, what are you doing for work? Where do you want to be? What's the ultimate goal? And then this is going to take them to what we have, a calendar booking. So there might be a calendar page with additional qualifying questions. So for example, people might be taken to our VSL. So our VSL here is showing off, some of the wins from our students. It's showing some of the stuff in there. So we have a place that you can actually book in a time to speak with us. There's going to be that case study video that you guys might actually watch. And then we also have all of the wins from our students. We have Kyle, who was leaving his 9-to-5 job. We have Andrea here, who literally, that was back in 2022 when he started working with us. We have Mateo, who said he got an immediate return on investment. So there's generally going to be some sort of sales page or a calendar page with student results, student testimonials. So you can also start to see, hey, what are the results if I work with this company? What can I actually get? And this is exactly what our students have inside of our community. We have wins after wins after wins. So once again, for example, someone will come in, they'll book a calendar, then they go to maybe, a triage call, either like a 15-minute qualifying call, or they'll go straight to a demo call. So if they seem really qualified and we feel like it's a good fit for them to work with us inside of our program, then ultimately they'll go straight to what we call a demo call with a closer or one of our head advisors, and ultimately help them get enrolled so they can get the results that they want. Now, how can you actually start being good at sales? Everything to become great at remote triaging, to become great at sales, comes down to this one skill: asking skilled questions. If you ask the right questions, you will become an absolute savage. There's someone who is so incredible at remote triaging and online sales, it will not even be funny. It all comes down to the questions you ask and how deep you listen, and if you can even find a prospect's real pain. If you find the real pain, which is only done by asking skilled questions, you will be successful. And there's no reason you cannot be making over $100,000 a year in as little as the next 6 to 12 months. So just take that into account, right? If you ask the right questions, you will make a lot of money, right? It all comes down to emotional empathy, emotional intelligence, and how deep and how well you connect with your prospects. So let's hop in. How do we actually ask skilled questions? Well, first of all, right, we need to understand the psychology behind sales. Now, our goal on every single sales call is to elicit the pain and desire from a prospect, as covered in the prospect belief tree module. Now, in just a second, I'm actually going to play a training from one of our head coaches, Ryan, and he's going to be going over these 7 core buying triggers. I actually call it our belief tree. Ryan calls it the 7 core buying triggers, but I'm going to play that video here shortly so you guys can actually see what that looks like. Now, once you understand the 7 core buying triggers, though, you're ultimately going to want to ask the prospect skilled questions. We're then going to understand, hey, this is the pain that they're in. We're ultimately going to do what we call exacerbate the pain. We're going to build desire, and then we're going to show them exactly how our product or service can actually bridge the gap between where they are now to where they want to be. Ultimately, right, a prospect is in a current situation. They want to go to this situation, their desired situation, and there needs to be a way to bridge the gap from where they are now to where they want to be. Let's say I have low energy. If I have low energy, that's my current situation. If I want to have more energy and I want to be amped up to like record these videos, this is going to be a really long free training that we're putting out on YouTube. But if I want to have an amazing training where I'm amped up, I'm caffeinated, I'm ready to go, well, what's going to bridge the gap from where I am now, tired now, to where I want to be? Well, it's going to be this Red Bull. And that is why they say Red Bull gives you wings. I actually don't know why they say that. I also think they had to take off that saying because I think they got into some legal trouble. But anyways, you can kind of start to see, though, once again, prospects in a current situation, where do they want to go? Red Bull gives you the wings to take you from where you are now to where you want to be. And no, I'm not sponsored by Red Bull. I wish I was. But let's move on. So that's the psychology behind sales. Ryan is now going to jump into the 7 core buying triggers. So I will let that play, and he's going to be awesome. He'll break it down for you now.
All right, guys. So in this lesson, I want to go over the 7 buying triggers. So let's dive into it. I'm going to share my screen. So the whole intention here is to be aware of these different triggers. And while you're going through the sales process, you will want to be actively looking to engage these different triggers by asking different questions to dig deeper into their specific situation. So this goes in tandem with the straight line theory. Okay, so these 7 buying triggers are, that is in N, doubt, cost, desire, money, support, trust. Okay, now I'm going to explain all of these things with what I like to do as my bridge explanation, right? So a person that has a problem is on this side. Let me actually. So here is your prospect. Right here, Mr. Prospect. And then here is the business over here, or the offer, the business offer, okay? And you are the bridge as a sales representative, as the individual that's helping to make sales for this company. So it is your job to get them to believe that where they're at over here in land A is more painful than the investment that it takes to get them to the solution that you believe will be solving their problem. And if you don't believe it will actually solve the problem, then it is your job to not sell them on this solution here, right? So this is the solution. Actually, yeah, so this is, sorry, the bridge is the offer. Ooh, this is, so the bridge is the offer. This is the desired outcome. Okay. And then you're kind of like the gatekeeper here. You know, we'll pretend this is a little gate and you're manning the gate over here. Okay. We're just doing a little Blues Clues drawings here. And so if the prospect over here believes that where they're at over here in their current situation is painful, and they doubt that they can solve this problem on their own, and they believe that the cost of remaining in this situation outweighs the cost of the program, then they will move forward. And if you create the desire for land of opportunity B over here, the desired outcome, then they will view that as something that they want to go do, right? That's why on a lot of my sales calls, I ask people to visualize, oh, so you really want to, stop doing what you're doing now so you can work into a remote sales position. And the reason for that is because you want to be able to travel the world. Okay, well, tell me a little bit more about that. Where's the first place you would go? Oh, I've really wanted to go to Mykonos. I think those white buildings out there are super cool. And then I know if they bring up something that I've done, I can, kind of play off of that and be like, oh yeah, I've gone there before. What was really amazing is that everyone there seemed to speak like 4 or 5 different languages. And it was really eye-opening because when I was over in, I grew up in the US and everybody speaks like 1.5 languages, right? The half is a little bit of Spanglish. And, I would shoot the shit like that to, really make the outcome over here visual for them so that they can actually see it. Because if somebody can see the desired outcome and they can place themselves in that place mentally, but they're still over here, that can increase desire to go towards over here. And the way they get there is through the solution, because you've already created the doubt in their mind that they can do it on their own. And the way you can create doubt is by simply asking them, so how long have you been looking to make a change for? Well, what's prevented that from happening? Stuff like that, right? Because if somebody has gotten themselves to where they're at this whole time, then they haven't changed like their daily habits and they haven't changed what they're doing, then they have to do something to get out of the current situation that they're in. And it's okay that they can't do it on their own, because that's why we're, a collective human race. We're supposed to all work with each other to get to where we want to be. Okay. So then, of course, money. They have to actually have enough money to be able to move forward. Like if they don't have access to credit, if they don't have any money in their account, if they literally cannot pay, then that's kind of something that you can't deal with. You can't move forward if they literally have no way to make the payment. Support. They need to have the support of their loved ones, of their spouse. So on a lot of my calls, if you've watched them or if I've done a sales call with you, I will very frequently find out if they have a family. If they do have a family, is the husband or the wife, in the picture? If they are, oh, do they know that we're on this call right now? Oh yeah, we talked about it. Oh, okay. So they're pretty supportive of you, moving forward with something like this. Yeah. I mean, I might need to talk about it with him first. I'm like, okay, well, what if he said no? What would you do then? Oh, well, I'd probably do it anyways. Oh, okay, great, cool. And then you move on past that. And then there's the trust section here. You have to engage trust. You have to get them to trust you. And a lot of trust is very dependent on your energy. You have to seem alive. You have to seem like you're happy to be there. The words that you say have to be in alignment with who you are, right? So like trust is really an energetic thing. I really feel so it's all about your energy and how you present yourself. If you show up to the calls and you seem partly dead, like not excited to be there, your energy is very dull, it's going to be very hard for people to trust you. But if you show up to calls and you're, happy and you're in a good mood, and that seems like they can trust you because they're looking at you as the person that can solve their problems. And the other way that you can make sure that you engage trust is to lead the conversation, right? Nobody wants to work with somebody that they feel like they're alpha to, that they're above, right? If I'm a prospect and I'm going to you as the person that's supposed to solve my problems, I need you to be the leader in that situation if you're going to solve my problem. If I view you as a subordinate to me, like below me, then there's no way I'm going to buy the solution that you're offering me. And that's a simple fact, right? Because I'm looking at you to solve my problems, not for me to solve your problems, right? So a way that you do this is by setting the frame, which I talked about in a previous lesson. So make sure that you're setting the frame, make sure that you're guiding the interaction. If they start asking the questions, then, and you know that you're going to answer those questions later on, redirect the conversation. Oh, great. Yeah, we're going to get to that here in a moment. But before we do, I want to dive into this real quick. Boom. And then you start asking the questions that you want to ask, or you start going over the things that you want to go over because you're the leader in the dynamic. And that's how you engage the trust. Okay. So I hope this is helpful. Just remember, they have to feel the pain of their current situation. They have to doubt that they can solve it on their own. They have to view the cost of staying in their current situation outweighs the financial cost of the program. They have to visualize the desired outcome to increase desire. They have to actually have the money in order to move forward with something. They need to have the support of the loved ones around them, and they need to trust you that you can be the solution to the problem that they're currently experiencing.
So it looks like Ryan just kind of wrapped up going over the 7 core buying triggers. Now, how do we actually start building this conversation? How do we start asking skilled questions? Well, first of all, we are going to confirm with the prospect, hey, what are the goals that this prospect is actually going after? Why did they even follow us in the first place? So once we do that, we're then going to set the frame. And this is where we get permission to ask questions to the prospect framed in their own best interest. So we get permission to ask questions to the prospect framed in their own best interest. And I'm going to be breaking down this in actual examples here shortly so you can see exactly what this looks like. Now, after we set the frame and we pretty much show the prospect, hey, you reached out to us, I just want to make sure that this is even like a good fit, we're then going to move to the building rapport stage and the finding alignment stage. So in this stage, we want to find out what the prospect is currently doing for work, why they decided to follow us, while ultimately building the value of the call, which we will later aim to book. Here, we can easily qualify the prospect more by asking, hey, what are you doing for work? Like, how do you like it? And how much are you making with that? Now, after we do that, we're then going to move on to what we call finding pain, finding core desires, and bridging the gap. So in order to see if someone is a good fit, it's important to truly understand more about their pain, core desires, and ultimately bridge the gap between that pain point and the core desire. And once we understand their current situation, we're going to push on the pain so we can understand the non-surface level, right? Prospects will give us a surface level pain, but we need to ask 2, 3, maybe even 4 or 5 questions deeper so we can get to the real pain. And then once we do that, once we figure out where they're at now, we'll then figure out what they truly want. And then once again, kind of like the Red Bull, we're going to figure out how we can bridge the gap using our product or service. Now, after we do that, we then want to ask for permission to give feedback to the prospect. Hey, Mr. Prospect, right? I actually feel like I might have a solution for you that can really help you based on what you told me. Are you opposed if I, kind of broke that down for you? So that would be kind of an example of asking permission to give feedback to the prospect. Now, lastly, we want to provide insight. Now, if we're in DM setting, right, we want to provide a short bit of insight here on the what, but not the how. Our goal is selling the phone call and actually getting the prospect to show up. The what in our case would be making 4 to 5 figures a month as a DM setter or a DM closer. And then the how is explained by the closer on the closing call. So just remember, with everything in sales, your only goal is to sell the next step. It's kind of even like copywriting. Every line on an email, your goal is just to sell the prospect on reading the next line of that email. So it's the same thing in sales. If you're a DM setter, your goal is to sell that 15-minute call or the 45-minute call, depending on what the sales process is. And then once you're on the 15-minute call, let's say you're the remote triager, you're taking that 15-minute call, your only goal is to sell the closing call, that next call. And then what is the goal of the closer? Well, the closer is supposed to enroll the prospect and get them to purchase. And then what happens after that? Well, that's when the customer success director comes in and they actually help that student get the result that they paid for. So everyone has a role within the sales process, and by understanding what that customer journey is, you can have a much better result in your sales, journey, especially learning something like remote triaging and online sales here. Now, just some quick tips after, of course, you book like the triage or the consult, depending on, what the business looks like. You're also going to generally want to use short pointed questions. So you want to have shorter back and forth. We don't want to type an essay because an essay is going to, stress the prospect out. It's going to, make them overwhelmed. So we don't need to have a whole essay. It's going to be more short, conversational, and just make it human. If someone feels like they're talking to a robot, they're not going to want to hop on that call, right? But if you actually understand them, you understand, and you know how to connect with them empathetically, emotionally, then that's going to have a much better outcome for you with the sale and be a better person, which is the most important thing. Now, a few other tips. We want to give insight on the what, not the how. The what is, hey, we're going to help you solve XYZ solution, but how are we going to do it? Well, you have to hop on that call in order to actually do that. And then lastly, you want to try to have the conversation all at once. So really not drawn out over days, all at once. That's going to be the biggest thing in ultimately helping you get results. Now, what do we have here? Well, what do the actual scripts look like? You might be wondering, Kekoa, what are the actual scripts that I'm sending as a DM setter? Well, there's going to be two types of scripts. We have intent-based scripts, and that's when a prospect is essentially raising their hand. They're saying, Kekoa or XYZ business, I'm interested in your product or service. Tell me how it works. So that's going to be a much different conversation than someone that's non-intent based, someone that, doesn't necessarily know what your product or service is. So on Instagram, this might be a new follower. It might be, someone just seeing your page for the first time. If they're just seeing you, they most likely don't have enough awareness. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with the 5 stages of awareness, but most prospects are going to be unaware at the beginning. So they have to become more aware before they can actually garner intent. So once again, you need to know where they're at, because if they're super unaware, they don't know anything about you, that's going to be a much different messaging process or in a messaging script than if they knew about you for the past 12 months. So what do the scripts actually look like? Well, that's what we're going to jump into now. So now we're going to jump into intent-based scripts. And this might be from what we call a keyword opt-in or a 2-step post. So let's take our Instagram page, for example. We'll take Kekoa Mac here. And this is what we might call a 2-step post. So someone is going to message here, and then we're going to both send a comment response and then also DM them as well, right? The comment response is ultimately to elicit more replies in the actual Instagram inbox, and just so we have a better conversion rate there. Now, we've also changed up our scripts, and the exact scripts I'm not going to actually go through on this video, but this intent-based script is going to be super helpful and work for a lot of different businesses. So if you use this, you can definitely have success. It kind of just depends on the business owner's processes and how you want to go about actually setting these calls. Now, a big thing too is that if you become more skilled on the phone, and that's something we're going to be going over in the remote triager role and the phone setter role, but if you become more skilled here, just driving them straight from the DMs straight to a phone call can also be really helpful, because then you can literally just say, hey, saw you were interested in, let's say, Airbnb. What's the best phone number so we can connect? Boom. And then you just actually just call them then and there. That can also be really beneficial and help you guys have awesome results. Now, some prospects, though, they just want to chat via DM. They don't want to hop on a phone call. So that's also why kind of understanding these scripts can definitely help you, because some people might be at work. They might be, going on vacation. So if they can just send a text, it's also going to be a lot easier for them to communicate. And then ultimately you can convert them still through the DMs. Now, I might even say, hey, John, and let's just say the prospect's name is John. Hey, John, awesome you reached out. If it's a comment, I might say, hey, John, saw you just comment on my post. Just so I have context, where do you live currently? Now, the reason we ask this is because depending on where the business is, we're only able to serve people from the US on average, like Europe, a few South American countries, and then also Australia. There's only a few places that we're actually able to serve. So ultimately, we just want to make sure that, hey, they're in a place that we can actually help, and then we can go from there and, ultimately help them get the best results. So let's say, for example, they respond and they're qualified. Then I'll say, gotcha. And once again, it's very important to understand that this is going to be separate DMs. So this might be DM1, and then after that, I'm going to send this as DM2. So that's just an important note that these are going to be like separate DMs. So then once they respond, and for us, our offer is sometimes a little bit broader and people don't know really how sales works. So we want to break it down to them in the comments. Let's say you're selling like option trading or like a trading program. Hey, are you already familiar with option trading, or what are your thoughts on it? If not, then you'll have one response that kind of explains what option trading is. If they do have experience, then you might explain a little bit more about like why your system is a little bit different. So it kind of just depends on, the offer and what that looks like. So here I'll say something like, in essence, the goal of a modern SDR is to work with an online business as the person who takes care of the business inbox and the new leads coming in. Let's say you help sell a $5,000 package for the business owner and you get 10% commission. That's $500 per deal. 10 deals a month could be $5,000 a month in your pocket. I mean, does that sound like something that aligns with what you're looking for, or is this something totally off? Now, if they're interested, I'm then going to show them the benefits. So here, I'm giving them a quick explanation. And then because some prospects may not even be interested in sales, that's why I kind of go into this first. But then I'm actually starting to see, hey, what's your current situation? Where do you want to go? Now, you'll notice that this is a little bit different. There's some nuances here when I actually go to the non-intent-based scripts, but also when I go to the remote triaging. Because someone on Instagram may not fully know what it is yet, but if someone watches like a video sales letter or they see, more information, they're most likely going to understand more about what it is. So that phone call can be a little bit different. So hopefully you can start to see kind of how this is playing out. Now, there, I'm then going to be like, great, curious, what even has you looking into something like this at the moment? Here, our goal is to gain clarity on what the goal of the prospect even is. What is the goal? Where do they want to be? Then I'm going to go into, cool, I mean, for work right now, what are you focused on? I might ask, how much are you making? What's the ultimate goal? So I'm understanding more about current situation, where they want to go. Now, once again, we're going to go a lot deeper on this on an actual phone call. But in the DMs, I don't want to make that conversation drag out too long. My goal, pretty much, the three things I'm really looking for is, hey, what are they doing now, right? Are they qualified? Are they from a country that's qualified? Do they make enough money? And where do they want to be? If I know those three things and I feel like my product or solution can help them achieve those goals to get where they are now to where they want to be, then ultimately I'll just book them in for a call. And then that's the goal of the triager or the closer, to take them across that next step and the next line so they can ultimately get the result. And that's where I make my commission. So that's pretty much what it looks like. Now, here we also might have, a goal of widening the gap. So I might say, got it. That's a cool goal. What happens if you don't make a change though? What happens if you don't do anything and you stay stuck in your situation? How will you get to that goal of 5 to 10K a month? Well, most likely they won't be able to actually reach that goal, which is ultimately what I want them to say. Because if they don't feel like they can reach that goal by themselves, then I'm much more likely to be needed in order to take them to where they want to be. So you can kind of see what that looks like. If the prospect has doubt that they cannot achieve the goal without me, without buying my service, then there's a much higher likelihood that they're going to convert and become a sale because they need me. So hopefully you can kind of start seeing what this looks like. Now, I also always want to make sure there's some sort of alignment. So here I might say, got it. It seems like you definitely align with some of our students. And obviously this is only if the prospect actually aligns. Like, we're not enrolling everyone. It's only, hey, if there's true alignment, I might say, great, it seems like you align. I'd love to actually, book you in for a call and see if we could help. So I might just say, cool, are you free for a chat this week to see if we could possibly help? Awesome. Would it be okay if I provided you with my team's calendar so you could schedule in a call at a time which works best for you? We'll then send the link. and book them in. Now, right here, we're then going to jump into non-intent based scripts. Now, once again, this is someone that might have just followed us. They maybe just viewed a story. They're not super interested. So I have to even kind of pique their interest first before even trying to pitch them for booking a call. Otherwise, they're just going to be super turned off. So I have to even make sure that they want to learn sales, that they want to learn the skill that I'm actually selling and promoting. So let's say I hop into this and I have a non-intent based script. So I'll be like, hey name, thanks for following me. And once again, this is gonna be if a prospect follows me, this is kind of the script that I would run them through. And you guys can use this for other things as well. Like the same principles here apply to cold calls. It applies to, calling warm leads that don't know much about you. Maybe it's calling old lead lists from a year ago that might have forgotten about you or the company you're working for. So if you use these frameworks, that's gonna help a ton in booking more calls and having more success. So let's hop in. So I might say, hey name, thanks for following me. What are the goals you're going after this September? Or I guess now it's May when I'm recording this video. So what are the goals you're going after this May? Cool, I want to make more money. Now, if you're really slick, you'll get the business owner to actually shoot a video message. So here, to gain more trust and rapport, hey name, thanks for following me. What are your goals? And then I might, as the business owner or the salesperson, hey John, thanks for following me, man. Let me know what you're kind of going after this month. I've just put together, an action plan for all of, my new students this month. Would love to send it over if that's even something that you're interested in. So if they give you positive feedback here, right, and the prospect's talking about their goals, they're interested, and you feel like your solution can actually help them get there, well, we just want to make sure, hey, are your goals big enough? Is there enough pain to actually even pitch a product or service so we can get them enrolled and, booked onto a phone call? So because I'm like, the way I interact with prospects is a little bit more bro-y. Like we've actually started working with a lot more females now. So this has definitely changed a little bit. So if it's a female, I might, if it's a woman, I might talk in a little bit different manner than if I was talking with like another guy, especially like in his 20s as well. I'll probably use the words like bro or, what's up, dude, if he's younger. If he's older, I'll probably be like, use more punctuation, be like, use capitalization, use all the proper frameworks. It just depends on the prospect because that's the language we understand. So you want to match the prospect's language in the best way possible as well, because that's also how you're going to build more rapport, build more trust with that prospect. So we'll say something like that. And then like, I might say, awesome, that's great, on the grind. So are you happy with everything these days as is? Or what's really the goal for this year? So if I start to understand the goal, if I start to understand, hey, is this prospect happy in the current situation, then I can start to unpack more and more. And the more I unpack, the more I understand, hey, this is where the prospect is now, this is where they want to go. I genuinely feel like my solution can help them. That's ultimately going to allow me to connect on a deeper emotional level, build more empathy, build more trust, build more rapport, and help them convert. So that's ultimately what that would kind of look like. Now, I might then go through, oh, I'm sorry to hear that you're going through that. What would really need to change, do you think, moving forward then? What is next then? What's your plan for getting out of that situation? If there's not a plan, then that's where your solution starts to come in. So let's say the prospect is positive here and they say, yeah, I want to keep growing. I might say, love those goals, aspirations. I mean, how much are you making right now in that job that you mentioned to me? What are you currently kind of bringing in per month? So I guess tell me, John, I mean, what do you feel like is holding you back from hitting that goal right now? And then if he gives you something back, then I'll be like, cool, I've worked with countless students actually in, a similar situation, just like, let's say Colin. He was working a 9 to 5, he was burned out, he hated his life. So I actually might be able to share some insight on that if you're open-minded to it. And then I'll ask a question there. So once again, there's going to be a little bit of some tweaks in here. Skip to this like after the non-invasive blurb. And once again, too, if you guys want this full document, I'll probably have a link somewhere in the description as well that you guys can get access to this. So you just have to put in your name and email. But you can get full access to like the training material here, and you guys can actually check out the script a little bit more. But after we do that, we're then going to go back to our permission to give feedback stage. So if you remember back in asking skilled questions, we're now at about this part of the process. And asking skilled questions when prospect is non-intent based is going to be much more important because the prospect didn't raise their hand. Remember, they don't know as much about you as an intent-based prospect. So if you can get really good at asking the questions, understanding current situation, where they want to go, how to bridge the gap, then you're going to have so much better results and ultimately be able to move someone along from not knowing you into wanting to buy. So that's huge. Now, let's scroll down back to where we were. So permission to give feedback. Okay, gotcha. I see where you're coming from. I actually have a few ideas to help. I mean, are you open to some feedback? Great. I might also ask, say like, great, I actually have some ideas which might help. Do you mind if I share? It's actually how we helped our students give testimonials, add an extra 10K a month. I'll add some like, he did 200K in sales. So Andrea literally made $20,000 a month, literally just using everything I'm showing you here. So that's how you know this works. But then from this, I'll then be like, okay, great, send a video, boom, I'll send them a video. Let me know when you check that. Now, if there's positive feedback on the video, then I might say, great, I mean, do you have 10 to 15 minutes later today to actually chat? We actually have some more clients doing, XYZ, just starting out part-time, and it can ultimately show you more frameworks. So that right there is literally how you walk someone through, just starting out, whether it's intent-based, non-intent-based scripts. And if you guys use these scripts, if you actually go out, you find a business, you will make money. If you understand how to ask skilled questions, you literally take the stuff that I've just gone over in the past about 60 minutes, the past hour or so with you here on this free course, you guys are going to have success. Now, of course, there's a ton of other nuances. There's a ton of other, strategies and ways that you can actually start making more money, just like our students, Andrea, just like Colin, just like Maze, just like Jake, who 3x his salary, just like, Jason, who made 4 times his monthly salary in literally just 1 week of work as a remote triager. So once again, if you want to learn more from myself, as well as our, head coaches here, our head advisors at the Modern SDR, then just make sure to find that link down below. You can actually book in a call to speak with us. There's going to be a short video also breaking down what it looks like to actually become a private client with us, and even some more student results that you might not have seen yet on this video. So if you do want to do that, just make sure to book in a time to speak with us down below. But without further ado, I'm now going to hop into the remote triager role, and I'm going to be jumping back onto my computer so you guys can see what this looks like, how you guys can actually start running your own setting calls, right? Your own triage calls, and ultimately get the best results and make the most money. All right, so now we're gonna learn a little bit more about how the remote triaging and appointment setting role actually works when you're calling people on the phone. So let's hop on. So right here, we have the general customer journey. Now, this is exactly what our landing page looks like. And a landing page is pretty much to collect someone's name, email, as well as their phone number. Now, the most important things here are going to be their name as well as their phone number here, because that's ultimately where you're going to be able to communicate with them and ultimately convert them into a demo call where they're hopping on and chatting with a closer. So what does this process look like? Well, there's generally going to be an opt-in page. They're then going to go to that video sales letter. We're then going to go to a call booking. So that's going to be that 15, 20-minute phone call. And then there's going to be a thank you page. Now, out of, let's say, 1,000 people that view this page, on average, we'll probably get about 200 people that opt in. For depending on the business, this might be between 200 to 400 people that actually opt in. So a 20 to 40% opt in. Now, from there, probably 20 of those people, so about 10% of the people that opt in, will then actually go to the video sales letter, they'll watch the content, and then they'll actually decide to book a call straight to the closer. Now, the big question is, hey, what happens to these 180 people that don't get booked? Now, for a lot of businesses that don't have talented remote triagers, that don't have talented salespeople, these leads are just left in the dust. They're never called, they're not talked to, and ultimately they're not converted into sales. And that's where you come in. So once again, to kind of break down the funnel math, we have 20 to 25% opt-in rate with some sort of headline or thing with the data entry box, and that's with name, email, phone number. We then have our VSL, which is a video sales letter, a video kind of explaining the program. We get about 10 to 20% people opting in there. And then we have a call booking page, right? Calendar booking page, which drive the prospect to actually book a sales call. Then this will take us to the thank you page, which has a confirmation with the videos there. Now there's a huge fall off rate from the people who opt in on the first page to who actually book a call. And your job is to ensure that these other prospects whose data we now have are called, texted, and pushed towards another call booking. Now, a few really good principles that our team really, strives to stand by and will also serve you in the best manner is ultimately calling a lead within 5 minutes. If you call someone within 5 minutes, you're gonna have a 21 times higher likelihood of actually booking that person onto a demo. So literally, if you call that person in under 5 minutes, you're gonna have 21 times higher results, better results than someone calling that lead after an hour of time that has elapsed. There's so many, ads that people see these days. There's so many, things competing for people's attention. So if you're not calling them within 5 minutes, you're essentially burning that lead and throwing cash into a trash can, literally just lighting that cash on fire. So make sure that you call your leads fast because that's ultimately gonna get you better results than 99% of salespeople. The skill level will obviously come next, but if you just call leads in 5 minutes, you're gonna be much further along than pretty much anyone out there because a lot of people don't actually do this. Now, let's hop back into the computer. So once again, right, like I said, calling leads in 5 minutes or less after they opt in, you'll have a 21 times higher conversion. And this is actually from multiple different studies, including Harvard Business Review. So there's a huge, emphasis on calling these people faster. Now, what our team does is that we actually quadruple dial people. So we'll actually call a prospect between 2, 3, 4 times before waiting for the follow-up sequences to take place. Additionally, SMS sequences as well as email sequences will fire right away when we talk to that prospect. Now, here is generally how our script works. And once again, if anyone opts out of our sequence, they don't actually, want to be texted again, then of course we take them off the list. So this is just people that answered, they're interested, and they want to actually proceed with more information. So here's kind of what my outbound dialing script will look like. Hey, is this John? Hey, John, yeah, this is just Jake here. I was calling because you inquired for some more information about the modern SDR here that you saw over from Kekoa MacAuley's page on Instagram. Does that ring a bell? And notice my tonality here. And this is something we cover a lot more in depth inside the modern SDR, inside of our live coaching calls. But notice the tonality here. Hey, is this John? Hey, John, yeah, this is just Jake here. I was calling because you inquired for some more information about remote triaging and online sales here at the modern SDR that you might have seen over on Kekoa MacAuley's page on Instagram. Does that ring a bell? Once again, notice my inflecting tonality points up and down throughout this whole conversation. I almost sound a little bit confused at the beginning, and then I sound more, interested, and then I'm almost kind of pulling away. So if you can really start to master your tonality, that's going to get you the best results in sales possible. And, right, once again, that's ultimately something we teach inside the modern SDR. So if you really want to make sure that you're mastering your tonality, you're mastering cadence behind how you speak, then just make sure to book in a time to speak with one of our head advisors here, and they're going to walk you through exactly how you can do that and start making those extra $5, $10, $20,000 commission months. So let's hop back in. Now, once they respond, I might say, hey, does that ring a bell? Cool. I just wanted to make sure you're able to access that training we sent over all. I know with some of those free things, you kind of lose them in the inbox. Email's wild these days. Now, why am I doing this? Here, I'm disarming the prospect. I'm disarming them. Because if the prospect thinks, oh, this guy's just another salesperson, he's going to be very turned off, or they're going to be very turned off. So if I'm able to inquire, hey, I just sent you over a training, I just wanted to make sure you've got it, then their guard's going to be down. They're also going to see me from a place of status because I'm also giving them something that they inquired for. And notice the frame that I'm setting. Remember, if we go back to the asking skilled questions, what do we do first? Well, we set the frame. And this is ultimately where we get permission from the prospect to ask them questions framed in their own best interest. So let's see how we do this here. Hey, I was calling because you inquired. So once again, this is framed in their best interest. I'm saying because the prospect inquired, They are the one that reached out to me, not the other way around. And that's a huge difference. It's a huge difference that the prospect reached out to me because this is intent-based. They're interested, they opted in to my product or service, so therefore they're the ones that want more information. So that's very important to note. Because you inquired for some more information for this training here, I just wanted to make sure that you were even able to access that, right? I wanted to make sure that you were even able to access that training that we sent over all right. I know with some of the free things, you sometimes lose them in the inbox. Email is crazy these days. That's disarming them, and then boom, we go into the questions. Cool, I mean, what really even drove you to want to get more information about modern SDR in the first place? What stuck out to you about the ad? Now, this is what we call an exploration stage, and this is almost like where we're probing a little bit deeper. Once again, inside Modern SDR, we have actual live sales call examples that we break down step by step so you understand why we ask these questions. Because having a script is great. There's so many different scripts online. I've seen tons of them. But if you don't know how to use them properly, if you don't know the proper tonality cadences, if you don't know how to answer questions that go off script and how to bring them back on, it's still going to be very difficult to have success. And that's why we ultimately launched the Modern SDR. But let's continue here. So, hey, I mean, what really stuck out to you about the ad that prompted you to reach out? Now, what do I mean when I say probe here if necessary? Well, most likely, the prospect is going to give me a reason why they reached out. So what are 3 ways I can probe? I might say something like, tell me more. Okay, cool, you saw us over an Instagram page. I mean, tell me more. Like what even inspired you to opt in the first place? Oh, I want to make more money. Okay, cool. I mean, how much extra money would you want to be bringing in? Oh, that's pretty cool. I guess what has you wanting to make extra money? So I can either understand more about where they're at now, or hey, why do you want to make more money? Oh, I'm stuck in my 9 to 5. Oh, I'm burned out. Oh, I want to travel with my wife. Oh, I want to have more time with my kids. Any of these responses will be great, and I would not have got to that level if I didn't ask a probing question. Okay, you want to spend more time with your kids. I mean, are you able to do that now? Like, what does that kind of look like? So that again would be a probing question where I'm delving deeper into what's really going on with the prospect. That's really big there. When you say XYZ, what do you mean? When you say you haven't been able to spend as much time as you like with your kids, I mean, what do you mean by that? Can you not go to the baseball games? Like, what are you not able to do? And once again, I want to leave most of my questions open-ended because that's going to allow me to ultimately delve deeper with those prospects. Okay, got it. So, I mean, have you felt that way for a long time, or what does that kind of look like? I mean, has that had an impact on you? Oh, you've had a lack of time with the family? I mean, in what way though? Can you give me an example? So notice, right, there's 5 or 6 different examples there of probing questions. If you're able to truly understand the prospect, where they are now, where they want to be, right, then you're able to ask the proper probing questions to unlock where you want to take that prospect, right, which is huge. So let's hop into desired situation. So once I started to figure out, okay, this is where the prospect is at now, and then I can go into, gotcha. So you mentioned XYZ, which seems more in the short term. So you mentioned you want to make more money so you can spend time with your family now. I mean, what's the long-term goal, would you say? Why is that important? What's the monetary goal? Is it save up for the house? Is it to travel more? Is it to have real financial freedom? Is it to take care of their parents? What's the monetary goal? Where do you want to go? Oh, it seems like you've kind of thought of that number before. I mean, why that number? So you can start to see how we unpack that to get deeper. Financial qualifier. So then once we do that, we then might jump into a financial qualifier. I mean, how much money would you have to make in order to replace the amount of income that you're making right now? Okay, you're working as a engineer right now. I mean, is the ultimate goal to transition out of that job? Is replacing that income enough to actually allow you to leave? Or like, how much would you have to start bringing in order to, put in those 2 weeks? Hey, I mean, given the drop in income, I mean, has that put you in a tough place financially? Like, in what way though? Do you feel like something like this, remote triaging learning sales, would allow you to get out of XYZ and into those goals you mentioned. I mean, have you looked into other programs before? Like, what does that look like? So you can start to see how we're unpacking, right? Current situation, desired situation, where they want to go, what they want to do. And we're really getting to the root cause of why that prospect is making the decisions that they do. So that's huge here. Now, let's say that the prospect, and once again, a lot of this is coming back to those 7 buying triggers that Ryan went over in that training that we showed earlier, right? So a lot of it does come down to that. Now, let's jump into the scam objections, potential, exploring other programs. So all throughout a phone call, a prospect has so many different things that they're probably looking at. A prospect might be looking at trading stocks. They might be looking at, growth operating is a huge thing these days. I honestly think growth operating is kind of a scam, but that's for a different video. But there's growth operating. There's starting Amazon FBA. There's drop shipping. There's all of these other business models. So if I'm talking to someone and I want to, first get their buy-in that sales is a feasible route or feasible vehicle for them to have financial success, I need to first get them bought in that sales will allow them to get the results that they want. So in order for a prospect to be bought in and actually purchase a program that's teaching them sales, what do they have to first believe? They have to first believe that sales will even get them the results. Because if they don't believe in sales as the vehicle to take them to where they want to go, there's no way they're going to buy or purchase our product or service. So that's the buy-in I have to get. Cool, I mean, have you looked into other programs before? What are you exploring? Oh, you have looked into other programs. Like, how did those go? Oh, they went poorly? Oh, I mean, how so? What happened to you on those programs? Like, how did those go? So I'm handling that objection in my discovery. Let's say that they haven't done programs before. Well, then I might say, okay, gotcha. I mean, what has you looking into something like this now then? Right? What had you opt in to this in the first place? What change do you really want to make? I mean, there's tons of free resources out there on YouTube. I mean, was there anything that really caught your eye here? Why not go, right, the free route? So as you'll start to notice, and this is the frame that I like to do a lot just on any sales call that I've run, is ultimately push the prospect away. I'm not hard selling anyone. They're convincing me about why they should buy the product I'm selling. And that's how every sale should be. The prospect should be convincing you why they need your product so much. So then by the time you ask for a credit card, they're already pulling it out, ready to go. One of our sales guys on our team literally did such a good job in discovery that by the time he told the prospect how much it was to get enrolled in the Modern SDR, she literally pulled out enough cash on the actual call. She showed him exactly how much cash she had. She went to the bank, she deposited it, and then she paid us that night and the following morning. So you can see that literally people will be begging to throw money at you if you do the discovery properly, you invoke enough emotion, you understand them on such a deep level, and you show them a clear path to take them from where they are now to where they want to be. So that's huge. Now, what are some other of the buying triggers? Well, we already went through trust. We went through, finances, kind of where they're at now, where they want to go, right? We also have to understand support. Hey, do you have a wife, a family, spouse, partner, husband? And how this might look like on a call is, cool, and I mean, do you have a family right now that you're supporting? What does that look like? Okay, cool. I mean, is your wife or girlfriend, husband, boyfriend, are they supportive of you kind of venturing into this? Cool. And do they know about this phone call? Do they know that you're looking into the online space? Great. I mean, and do you feel like they'd want the same XYZ result that you mentioned to me? So once again, that's going to be support, and that's their buy-in. Now, once I have that, what's the next step? Well, the next step, and once again, you don't have to do all of these, things in order, but once again, it's important that you get all 7 core buying triggers that Ryan mentioned on that training, because if you don't, then it's going to be very difficult to bring someone over the line, because in order for a prospect to make that decision, they need to have all 7 of those buying triggers, those 7 core beliefs that are true, that they fully believe are true in order to make a buying decision. So, cost of inaction. What happens if you don't make a change? Oh, do you feel like you'd be stuck in the same job? Like, how would that make you feel? So do you feel like, what would, our program really unlock for you? Like, what would this do for you? Once again, that's getting their buy-in on the end result that the program can give you. So once again, this here is going to be our full breakdown of the cost of inaction. So that is an overall breakdown of literally how you run discovery on an actual triage call. And of course, there's more to this. You have to understand the bridge to a transition. You have to understand what the transition looks like. You have to understand what is almost the pitch into booking that next sales call. And that's something that we ultimately go through inside the Modern SDR. And if you want to actually opt in to get this full guide, you guys can actually see that as well. So this is going to be super helpful if you're actually looking to, start running a full sales call. And then at the end of this, if they are a good fit, then eventually you can just book them in to book in that strategy session. And that's ultimately where you're going to, start being able to take them from a cold prospect to a little bit more interested, to then hopping on the sales call, closing, and getting the results that they pay for. So what is next? Well, there's really 3 key points to touch on for every sales call. And I think just breaking this down, like on this guide here, is going to make it a lot easier for you guys. But this is going to be discovery, desired scenario, and then making a tremendous gap. So once again, what is the level of pain and urgency that they're in? Current situation. This is in discovery. Deeper pain equals more sales. Remember that. Deeper pain equals more sales. Without pain, there's no sale. So desired scenario, here they are. This is where they want to be. How clear is it for where they are, like where they want to go? Is there a clear path for where this person, this is where they are, to where they want to go? And then how can we build that gap even bigger? How can we make this gap even larger so it's very clear that the prospect needs our solution or product to take them from where they are now to where they want to be? So if you can just do these 3 key points on every sales call, you will have success. Now, lastly, what are the 5 top reasons that people aren't successful with sales? Well, there's really going to be 5 things here. Now, the first is going to be ego. They're going to assume that they know everything about a prospect. And because of that, because they assume, they don't ask deep enough questions. A prospect might tell them, hey, I want to make more money, but we never ask why. Why is making more money important? Oh, I want to take care of my family, but okay, why is that important? Because, growing up, my father wasn't around so much and it made me sad. Got it. So ultimately you want to be the father that you never had for your kids. I mean, would you agree? That is the level of deepness that you want to get to. And that's ultimately what is going to make a prospect understand, hey, this is where I am now. This is where I want to be. I want to be the father for my kids that I never had. Not just, I want to make more money. All right, so hopefully you can start seeing the difference there. So the first thing is ego. Second, lack of active listening. You might hear one pain. Bad sales reps might hear one pain, but it's not the real pain. So you have to understand, you have to go layers deeper. And that's only done by lack of active listening and also not assuming. Never assume. Have genuine curiosity. Now, number 3, being monotone on a sales call. If you sound the same the whole call, you sound the same, you sound boring, you sound like a robot, what is going to happen? Well, the prospect's not going to buy from you because they just find you boring. And it most likely doesn't actually share empathy. If a prospect tells you something really painful and you're like, wow, dude, I mean, that sucks. Wow. I'm sorry. Like, notice my tonality there isn't actually meeting him where he's at. I might say instead, got it, man, I'm so sorry to hear about that. I mean, what sort of impact has that had on you? Notice I almost like stutter through that, and it sounds even more empathetic than if I'm just like, staying flat voiced and there's no inflections. Make sure you have inflections throughout your whole sales call. Now, we also have objection handling. A lot of the times, prospect will hit you with different objections like, hey, it's too much money. Now isn't the time. Or I have to talk with my wife. Here, it's super important to chunk down to understand what is the actual objection and what is the prospect really trying to achieve. So that's going to be number 4. And we actually have a nice objection handling training. So I'll probably link that in this video as well, or it'll be somewhere there up on the screen. Now, lastly, letting the prospect jump. So this is the 5th And top five, fifth most important reason why people are not successful with sales. If you let a prospect get off a sales call, right, and you genuinely feel like based off their current situation, based off where they want to go, they are a good fit for your program, and you let them off that sales call, you just essentially let that prospect jump off a bridge. Right? You just let that prospect die. I had a mentor of mine, Abdul. We met up out in Dubai for the first time, probably about 9 or 10 months ago. Awesome guy. He actually ran a sales floor of 250 people for AT&T. This was a while back, where I was a big call center. And the trainings that they went through every single week, my biggest takeaway from what he told me, what he kind of trained me on, was that you are a suicide negotiator. As a salesperson, as a remote triager, you are a suicide negotiator. Every single day, you're talking with people who are getting up on a bridge, right? They're about to look off, they're gonna jump to their death. They're looking at all the cars on the overpass. If they jump, the cars will hit them and they die. Or they jump into a river and they also die. They get swept up by the currents. And it might sound dark, but think of yourself as that suicide negotiator. You're hopping on calls with prospects who are about to jump off that bridge. They're so fed up with all the pain they're going through. They want to get out of their current situation so bad, but they have limiting beliefs that are blocking them. And if they do not enroll with you, if they do not buy your product or service, you are doing them a disservice by letting them off that call because you let them die. So the next time you're on a sales call, the next time you're trying to get into sales, understand that, hey, every person you're talking to, they need to be saved. You need to save them. And if you don't ask the questions, if you don't listen properly, if you're not actively listening and you have an ego, you assume things about your prospect, then you will let them die. So I hope that sticks with you. And I hope you start implementing this because we don't want to let our prospects jump off the bridge. We don't. We want them to live. We want them to succeed. And that's your duty as a remote triager and a salesperson. So with that, I'm going to jump into role 3, which is our closer, and we're going to go through the final scripts here for this free course. If you guys are getting value from this, make sure to like, leave a comment, also share with a friend. You should be able to do that down below. Our channel just grows organically, so every share you make, it's super helpful, and it lets more people know about this sales training knowledge so that they can ultimately get out of their 9-to-5 jobs too and make more income. So make sure to share with a friend, and I'll catch you guys in step number 3, phase 3, which is our closer position. All right, so now we're gonna be jumping into role number 3, and this is gonna be a closer. This is where, let's say you're hopping on a phone call, you're selling a $5,000 product. On average, you're making about 10% commission. So if we're taking one phone call, literally just using the same frameworks, the same scripts that I'm about to go with you through here, you could be making literally $500 in just 45 minutes from taking one phone call. So hopefully you can kind of gauge the importance of the scripts and the frameworks that we're about to go through. But I think it's going to give you a ton of value. So make sure that you stick along, you listen, you take notes, and you write down any key takeaways so you can start implementing as soon as possible to hit your first $10,000 a month in 2024. So let's hop on over to the computer. Now, this is generally going to be for what we call a B2C product. So this is generally if you're selling to general, normal people. Maybe they're working a 9-to-5 job. Maybe they're just, in a general just day and age of life. This isn't necessarily selling to sophisticated business owners. This is more selling just to an end consumer that's just looking to maybe start up, a new side hustle, or maybe learn about nutrition or a fitness program or something like that. So that's how we kind of qualify and classify a B2C offer. And this is obviously going to change if you're selling to business owners, but hopefully you can kind of see what this looks like. Now, there are a few things that I've taken out of this script just because it's more like private information, and I don't necessarily share everything like that online unless you're, of course, part of our Modern SDR program. But hopefully this will give you a really good, first step into closing and ultimately help you guys have success here. So the first goal is to really financially qualify, figure out pain, figure out desire, and ultimately close. And this is generally just for taking a demo set by either a VSL call funnel. So that's from kind of that customer journey we went through last time, from a video sales letter, call funnel, or to a setter who has already kind of pre-qualified all of this. Now, once again, very important, if you do not remember the 7 core buying beliefs or the 7 core buying triggers, go back to the training over from Ryan, and he's gonna break down exactly what this looks like. We have pain, doubt, cost, desire, money, support, and trust. And if you have all 7, this is what gets prospects to make decisions, to enroll, pay you money, and ultimately get the results that you're supposed to get them. So we'll hop on, right? I might be like, hey, John, how's it going? Can you see me? Cool, I can see you. Great, how's everything, Ben? You can kind of like skip through this. Now, what I'll do, and this is normally at the start, and this kind of depends. Sometimes I'll just kind of even skip this. But for the people we train, this is how we do it. So I'll just keep this call quick, short, and simple. I just really want to learn a little bit more about what you see, what really drove you to want to get more information about the modern SDR. So this is going to be XYZ product. So yeah, man, I just want to, understand a little bit more about what even drove you to want to learn more about, our fitness program or our fitness training program in the first place. And then of course, if everything makes sense at the end of the call, we can further discuss the investments and the next steps to getting you enrolled and starting with us. So obviously there's an investment with any program. So we always want to pre-frame that and kind of go through that as well. So if this is set from a setter, we have, let's say the setter's name's John. So I might say like, I know you chatted with John on our team. He sent over some resources, I believe, to kind of get you caught up to speed with everything that we got going on here. Were you able to check out those resources? Cool. Yeah. What were your thoughts on that? Could you see yourself doing this? What are your thoughts on that so far? Is this a skill set that you've been wanting to learn for a while? What does that look like? And then from there, if I have notes on what they're doing already, I might transition into more of something like, okay, that's pretty cool. I have some notes here from John. He mentioned you were, already working as a real estate developer, making pretty good money. Can you kind of elaborate that and give me some more context here so I can just better understand where you're coming from? So on the script, you notice that I'm following this, but I'm also kind of saying my own things. So once again, it's just to give you a framework behind how we're running the call. But notice, okay, cool, we get buy-in on this is a skill set I want to learn. So be like, cool, it sounds like things are going pretty well from what Jarrett told me. You're working as a real estate developer, making $70,000 a year now. Can you kind of elaborate on that and kind of tell me how that's going? Oh, okay, cool. Is that going well? Are you enjoying that? Okay. Oh, you feel stuck. Okay. Right. So any buzzwords that the prospect's bringing up, oh, you feel stuck. How long have you been feeling that way? How does that make you feel? So then this is where we kind of go back into discovery as we kind of did back in the remote triager and phone setter stage. So what's cool here is that you're going to start seeing similarities between, hey, this is just how you run a really good discovery. The whole point of running a discovery is to make sure we are just tapping all of these boxes, right? That we're checking off all these boxes: pain, doubt, cost, desire, money, support, trust. Okay, I got it. What happens if you don't make a change though? Right? What really happens then? So once again, this is where we start bringing in urgency, desire. We're starting to make sure that, hey, they need to make a change now. I might even delve further. Okay, and based off everything you've kind of gone through, do you feel like the modern SDR or our solution, our product service would be a feasible route to actually help you make more money, get out of that burned out feeling in your landscape or in your real estate development job? Do you feel like this would actually assist you in that? Once again, we're getting into pain. Okay, there's enough pain. Do we feel like there's enough desire? Do they feel like our solution is going to allow them to get to that desired outcome? Okay, and really for you, John, what's the ultimate goal? Okay, you want to make $100,000 a year. Could you elaborate a bit more on that? Why is 100K important? What would hitting that goal of 100K allow you to do in your life? Oh, that's great. That's great, John. Okay, cool. And are you on track at the moment to actually do that with your current job? Oh, you're not? Why is that? Notice the flow that I'm starting to go through here. And once again, this relates back to the 7 core buying beliefs. But what does this tie into? Well, it almost ties into doubt as well, that they're not going to be able to do that. This ties into desire, but it also ties into doubt. Got it. And are you on track to make 100K a year at the current job? Oh, you're not? You're stuck making 70K? I mean, why is that? I mean, what's really holding you back from, going from 70K to 100K? Okay. Oh, wow. Your income's capped. Okay, got it. I mean, if you hit the goal of 100K, I mean, what would that really mean for you? Why is that important? I mean, if you don't hit that goal, I mean, how would you feel? Like, what situation would that kind of put you in? Oh, we definitely don't want that. Okay, got it. So you want to make 100K a year. I mean, right now, are you dating anyone? Are you like married? Like, what does that kind of look like? Are they supportive of you? So once again, we're starting to get buy-in on support. Do they know about this call? What does that look like? Now, right here, and this is still kind of what I'm kind of going through. And once again, this is something we go in a lot further in details. Once again, if you're a complete beginner, I don't want to overwhelm you with too much information here. But hopefully you can start to see, hey, based off the questions I'm asking, am I getting to all of these 7 core beliefs, right? That's the first thing that we're really trying to make sure we do. If you can ultimately tap into all of these 7 core buying beliefs, that's how you're going to get a prospect from not knowing you in order to know, like, trust you, and then ultimately make that purchasing decision. So this is where we kind of move on. And this is and kind of throughout our whole closing process, I like to do what we call a temperature check, right? And a temperature check is pretty much getting buy-in from the prospect, these micro commitments of yes, almost preconditioning them to make that purchase decision once they get to the end of the call. So that's ultimately the goal of these temperature checks. So I might say, okay, great, Name. So from what you've seen in the videos, our brief chat and the testimonials, I mean, does the process make sense to you so far? Do you feel like it's pretty clear for you? Like, do you understand, like, do you need more clarity on some parts of the process? I mean, there's tons of even free resources out there already. What's holding you back just from doing something like this on your own? Oh, you want a mentor? I mean, why is that? Could you see yourself doing this? So hopefully you can start to see the way we unpack this, where we're getting buy-ins, we're almost conditioning our prospect to say yes by the time they move forward. So then let's say we transition, we get all our buy-ins, there's enough pain, we feel like we can bridge the gap from where they are now to where they want to be. So listen, I mean, based on everything you're telling me, it sounds like you definitely, are quite aligned with some of the students here inside our program, and you have some of the traits that honestly align with, them as well as some of the business owners that we can help you get placed with. So, I mean, I'd love to show you a little bit more on this call. I mean, what exactly it looks like to work with us and start learning remote triaging inside the modern SDR. I mean, is that something you're even open to? And then we go into our pitch. Now, right here, I'm not going to share our whole pitch because that's more like private information. But once again, generally we have a 3-pillar approach. So there's going to be 3 pillars to whatever program you're helping sell. And generally it's going to be like, hey, this is step 1, this is step 2, this is step 3. And the whole point of the pitch is just to show a prospect, hey, this is where you are now. This is exactly how we're going to take you to where you want to be. And that's pretty much the goal of the pitch. So in the pitch, after the pitch, our goal is to get the prospect to tie themselves down and ultimately have micro commitments of yes to signing up for this program. Now at the end, we'll just get buy-in. Cool. I mean, it makes sense. Do you see yourself doing this at all? Why do you feel this way? Once again, that's temperature checks, getting buy-ins. And then pretty much from there, we'll even ask them, hey, on a scale of 1 to 10, how are you kind of feeling, about the whole process? Like, could you see yourself doing this? I'll also get timeline. Cool. In terms of timeline, I mean, are you thinking 12 months from now or like as soon as possible? And pretty much if they're as soon as possible, that's where we start to actually go through. We'll value stack up to the pitch and ultimately get them enrolled into the call. So once again, students like Christian, who were actually able to implement this, Christian made $2,500 Canadian in literally 1 week of work. I think he made like 5K in the past 2 weeks. So that was awesome to see. Jim over here, he just got a closer role as well, utilizing everything here. Jane Choi literally said she graduated the course. She actually tried out different sales gigs, but now she actually just built her own mentorship program. And she's been running a side hustle in healing, signed her first client, literally just using these frameworks. So it's been really cool to see, Jake 3x his salary, Andrea $35,000 in 4 months. Now he's literally made $400,000 over the last 14 months. Absolutely crazy. Mateo making $2K a month out, working from Spain, working remotely. Shad on track for $100,000 in sales, able to work remotely from anywhere in the world. So at the end of the day, this stuff works. And if you guys want to see a little bit more about how I, as well as our amazing team of coaches here at the Modern SDR actually work with our students privately. We walk them through role plays. We actually go through these exact scripts, these frameworks. We teach the tonality behind what makes a prospect buy, what gets their buy-in. We go even deeper on the 7 core buying triggers, right? The 7 core beliefs that a prospect needs in order to make that purchase decision. And ultimately, where we teach you exactly how to start making your first $5,000, $10,000, even $20,000 or $30,000 a month, like our paying students inside the Modern SDR, then just book in a time to speak with us down below. There should be a link. You might just put your name, email, phone number, and then you can actually watch a quick video, some more student results. If from this 2 or 3 hour training, you didn't get enough there, you can check out some more student results there. But without further ado, I just hope you guys, really did enjoy this video. Once again, my name is Kekoa MacAuley, CEO, founder of the Modern SDR, where we teach normal everyday people just like you and I, right, how to get into remote triaging and online sales. I hope this free training was absolutely valuable. If you have watched all the way to the end, you should have a very good start into this online space, and there's no reason you can't make an extra 5,000, even 10,000 a month with this free knowledge. But if you do want to work with us, once again, a little bit more closely, then feel free to book in a time to speak with us down below, and I look forward to seeing you inside the program soon. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like, leave a comment, any feedback, any thoughts, any questions, right? Share with a friend, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you for watching. It's been Kekoa, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.